Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to my weekly update for Monday, February 6th, 2017. And I was off to a late start. Every couple of weeks I'm on call, and it starts Monday mornings, and it was a very busy day. But for last week's recap, a lot of the stuff I was able to get done was actually done behind the scenes. Last Monday I had started the ESXi for Home Lab Use Part 2. And ran into similar issues that I had when I was working with Cisco Viral. In that, when I installed GNS3, it would get stuck on the GNS3 launcher page, and I probably had about a little over an hour of recording time going through doing all different types of troubleshooting. Long story short, I think the issue is with my server, only because I have two other ones, and when I installed the VM instances on a network file server, they'll boot up just fine on any of the other servers, but not the main one that I was trying to show you guys. So I'm gonna have to redo those. So that was the bad news of last week, but I was able to get some of the Freelab beta architecture completed. So I got the Asterisk 14.2.1 installed, and which will allow me to set up additional videos to do the SIP trunk configs like I was planning on doing earlier this week. Now, as far as the VCSE for MRA, I did get a trusted CA sign for vcsc.voiptech.info because one of the other things I was going to add in there is the WebEx server, and that one does require a signed trusted CA, so I ordered one of those. And currently you can actually access it from the public, but you have to put whatever your home IP is or whatever source you're connecting to it from. You have to first be on the VPN and then add that public IP to the static routes on the VCSE itself. Reason for that is, from what I could see, there's only one default gateway which is set up for the internal network, which doesn't have external access. So I have to put static routes, because I got a public, I have a one-to-one NAT based on the design requirements, but I have to static route that for the second interface because it doesn't give you a default gateway option for that. So I'm still kind of fumbling through those configurations, but once it's done, I'm going to put something together because I've been having to go to multiple resources to try to figure out how to get this thing configured. So once it's fully done and functional, I will be putting together a series on how to install it from scratch, including all the prerequisites, because that was another thing, is with the Windows CA sign certs, I've always used self-sign certs. I've never had to use Windows signing, so I had to enable those features. I'd assign some and then realize default was like 2 years, and I was like, well, then I'd have to go through and change registry settings and go back and re-sign them and whatnot. So been learning a lot about Windows certificates this week. But again, like I say, is I've been kind of patching, and I was going to say duct taping, but it's more like scotch taping all the different components. Once everything is all said and done, then I'm just gonna wipe everything from scratch and start recording a series to encompass everything. So if you want to build it yourself, you can, and then also if you're using the Freelab beta and want to do it yourself, you can follow the steps as well. And I did get two Cisco 8865s this week. I got one from Amazon, one from eBay. Both of them were brand new and they worked just fine. And they were to replace my 9971s for wireless for the VCOM, which I made a video about that as far as why I did that. And so far, so good. I haven't had any issues with it. And I did see that it does support the VCSE, so when I get that going, I'm going to try it from my cable modem network and see if I can get it to work through the DSL. Same way you guys get into the Freelab environment. And I did have somebody ask if my phones were connected to the PSTN, and they are. I used to have Gifachi as a SIP trunk provider, and I would have sworn by them, but they just kind of disappeared off the planet. Same way like with IP experts, people were telling me how great they were, and so when I decided to sign up, it happened to be right when they're in a transition of falling off the face of the planet without notification. So I placed my order, and it was like spinning for a long time, and it's like, don't press the back button, and it was like that for days. I shouldn't say days, it was like a day. I let it go, and then I finally stopped it, and then it would say, I had something say transaction completed, but then I couldn't log in, and then I click on the link to reset the password, and I never get the email. Try to call support, nobody's there. Send emails, no response. And that was my experience with INE. So apparently I tend to pick providers that just, they start off great and then they just disappear. So I'm using VoIP MS right now too as a SIP provider, but even them, I've sent them an email and haven't got responses, but the service works, so at least I have that. But I actually have one of the traditional POTS lines, which connects to the 3825, and then I also have Vonage, and that analog connection goes into the same FXO port on there, and then it's converted to VoIP. So that's prominently how I use all my phones, is it's SIP to the gateway and then analog to the ATAs or devices, or analog line I should say, and then it's either straight PSTN from there or it gets converted back to VoIP. And as far as gaming, all work, no play last week, with the exception of last night. I had some people over, not for the Super Bowl, but for VR, and they're playing VR for the first time, and that was pretty cool. I probably could have made some videos with that, because that was actually pretty entertaining. So with all that said, and I don't want to make any guarantees for this week, only because I'm on call and it's already starting off to be a crazy week. And if I say for sure these will be done this week, Murphy will certainly find me. So what I'm going to do is, I'm still going to be working on the VCSE stuff, trying to get that going in the background, and still messing around with the self-sign, or still messing with the Windows certificate stuff, trying to get that tweaked. But I plan on doing the ESXi 6 Part 2 on a different server, so you can see how that's done, as well as the Cube SIP trunk configs, and probably simultaneously do the Asterix videos as well, since I have to configure both ends anyway. I'll probably do that. And as far as the gaming, if time permits, or if I can sneak some time in, I'll try to hit the record button and get some in. Now, in regard to the comments, one of them was about Asterix, PBX, and setting up Cisco 7921 phones. So, and that's something we'll just have to do. I'll probably just do on the fly. I haven't set 7921 phones up on Asterix, but I started working with Asterix in 2005. And they have a skinny emulation on there, and I used 7912 phones, which aren't even supported. They don't even come up anymore in the new call managers, but I used to use skinny with that, and so we can play around with that. And as I set that up, I'll make some videos as we go through. Now, as far as the dial peers, calling cert spaces, and partitions, that's probably a good time to start adding those into some of my videos. In the meantime, I've been looking around just at random stuff, and I believe there was one from Network Chuck. He, if I recall, I think he did it on Star Wars or something. It's been a few weeks since I saw it, but I thought it would be, if you're just learning, I thought that might be a good video. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll post the link to that in the description if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I'll be adding that at some point soon. I believe that's all I have for today. I feel like I'm missing some things. I've been kind of scrambling to get this together, and let's see, I've been up about 19 hours now, so I'm overdue for some sleep. So I think I'm going to call it a day. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.